Right. Hey guys, the 16th Finance Commission has submitted its recommendations to the Parliament that we have seen. I'm making this video a little bit later, okay, little bit late because in on Feb 1st itself, the committee, Commission, the Finance Commission has submitted its recommendations or report to the Parliament. But because I was, busy in making some other videos, so I could not make it. But however, at the same time, as I was also waiting for the, summary document of the PRS legislative research. Very recently, they have uploaded this document about the PA 16th Finance Commission. Some other sources were there, but I thought the PRS legislative summary document will be more authentic and more informative. So that's why I've waited for this long. Okay. So no problem. We will go through the details. Okay. So the Finance Commission is we'll go to the details. Okay. Little bit some discussion or information is there about the Finance Commission first. Okay. The Finance Commission is a constitutional body, you know very well, constituted by the president every year. It is constitutionally mandated. Okay. Under the article of 280, for every 5 years to make the recommendations on center state fiscal relations. Okay. The report of the 16th Finance Commission, which is chaired by Dr. Anvind Panagaria, it was tabled in Parliament on February 1st, 2026 for the 5 year period between 2026-27 and 2030-31. Okay. The key recommendations of the Commission are as below. Okay. We see the details one by one. This data is very important. Over the years, questions have been asked in UPSC from this information only. Especially, they have asked questions with respect to comparison between the present recommendations of the present Finance Commission and the recommendations of the previous Finance Commissions. Okay. Uh, One more information I would like to give you that the 14th and the 15th Finance Commissions, the terms of reference themselves were very much problematic. Means a lot of concerns were there because some new TOR terms of reference were given by the government to the committee and the commission, and the commission also gave recommendations on those things. Okay. So the 14th and 15th Finance Commissions were always in news for different terms of reference or additional terms of reference, and the criteria they have taken for devolution of funds to or a division of the funds, division of the tax amount between the center and states. Okay. This year also briefly we will see the comparison between the 15th Finance Commission and 16th Finance Commission. Okay. So one by one details we will see first. First is share of states in central taxes. Okay. The share of states in the divisible pool of central taxes has been recommended at or retained at 41%. Previously also it was 41%. Okay. This Finance Commission also retained that 41%. Okay. This is same as the share recommended by the 15th Finance Commission. Then a divisible pool is arrived at after excluding cost of collection and cesses and surcharges from the gross tax revenue collected by the central government. Okay. So one unfortunate thing here is 40 states share is 41% from the divisible pool of taxes. But unfortunately, the segments, two other segments, that is cess and surcharge. Okay. Unfortunately, their proportion is increasing day by day, and center is not obligated to share this revenue with the state governments. Okay. Some editorials in some newspapers, some editorials have argued that this 41% is only being said for the namesake. The amount that can be divided between the center and states, that is center and states, its pool is coming down. So no matter, it doesn't matter whether you are giving 41% or 45% or even 50%, because the divisible pool itself, the divisible pool, that quantity is not increasing, okay, year after year. Okay. So one particular article was talking about as everything is increasing. You see GDP is growing. Okay. everything is going, but unfortunately GST collections are also growing, tax collection is increasing. But that article goes on to argue that the quantity or the amount or divisible pool that has to be shared between the center and states, it is not increasing proportionately. So state governments are actually deprived of the funds. That is what the article argued. So I hope that you might be following you might be reading the newspapers and getting the things. Okay, all those things that becomes part and parcel of critical evaluation of the report. But however, because we are reading this document, we will confine ourselves to what are the important aspects in the recommendations of the 16th Finance Commission. But that problem is there. One thing is cess and surcharge, their proportion is increasing, and the divisible pool, that amount, that is not increasing proportionately. Okay, so states' revenues are not increasing in proportion to the expenditure that is made by them, or the growth that is seen in other areas like overall tax collection, GDP growth, etc. Okay, right. Then we will come to another important area, that is criterion for devolution. Very, very important one. Always there will be a question around this one. Okay. So to provide for the distribution of central taxes among the states, the finance commissions define a formula with the weightage for certain parameters. Okay. So here in table 1, the parameters are explained. Okay. Um, to 15th Commission to determine each state's share in central tax and the weights assigned to them. Okay. Then table 3 also we will see that annexure shows the individual share of the states. Okay, that will also we will see later. First we will try and see the criterion. Okay, so first criteria is income distance. 15th Finance Commission has given 45% weightage for it, whereas the present commission has given 42.5%. Okay. Then population, 2011 census population has been taken. 15% weightage was there in the previous Finance Commission. Now 17.5% weightage has been given. Then demographic performance means efforts to control the population. Okay. 12.45% was given in 15th Finance Commission. 10% is given in present commission, given by the present commission. Area means the geographical area of the state. Previous Finance Commission 15%. Present Finance Commission has given 10%. Forest, previous Finance Commission has given 10% weightage. Same, it was retained at 10% only. Previous Finance Commission, 15th Finance Commission, it has given weightage under one category, that is taxes and fiscal efforts. Okay. This has a little bit become controversial at that time. Okay. But now there is no criteria. It was not retained this year. The weightage given by previous commission was 2.5%. This commission has done away with that. Then a contribution to GDP, new criterion has been introduced by the present Finance Commission. 10% weightage has been given to that. Means how much states are contributing to GDP. Okay. Right. Remember the time period of recommendations of the 15th Finance Commission were from 2021 to 26, and 16th Finance Commissions were from 2026 onwards to 2031. So the recommendations will start functioning from 1st April 2026. Okay, that you have to remember. Okay. So about each and every criterion, we will try and understand in some detail. Okay. So the first one is per capita GSDB distance. Okay. That is also called as income distance. Okay. You see the 16th Finance Commission has defined income distance as the difference between the per capita GSDP of a state and the average per capita GSDP of the top 3 large states with the highest per capita GSDP. So states like Goa, etc., Punjab, they will come here. Per capita GSDP has been computed as the average over the period of 2018-19 and 2023-24. Okay, excluding the pandemic year of 2020-21. Okay, then states with a lower per capita GSDP will receive higher share on this parameter to maintain equity among the states. Okay, so this is how the criterion will be working. Okay, income distance. Okay, very, very important one. Second one, population. On this parameter, the share in devolution is determined based on the share in the population as per the 2011 census. So that is what the latest census we have. It's believed that in present year census once again will be conducted. Okay, right. However, the population of 2011 census will be taken for this one. Third criterion is demographic performance. You see, the 15th Finance Commission has introduced this parameter to award states for controlling population on the basis of TFR, total fertility rate. The 16th Finance Commission has redefined this to account for population growth between 1971 and 2011 instead of relying on change in the TFR, total fertility rate. Okay, you can say it's a good change by the 16th Finance Commission. Okay, states with a lower population growth will have a higher share under this parameter. Okay, so this is to reward the states which have done or which have taken great efforts to control the population, especially after the 1971. Okay, so indirectly you are saying that this is to reward the southern states because rightly the southern states have taken efforts to control the population. Of course, they shall not be punished. Okay, because it was national policy at that time to national priority to control population. Southern states have taken appropriate measures to control population growth and they have to be rewarded and they shall not be punished. To bring in that balance, a demographic performance has been introduced by the 15th Commission, and now little bit it is taken by the 16th Finance Commission with some modification. Okay, then we will come to forest. The 16th Finance Commission has assigned weightage to both the share of a state in the overall forest area and its a share in the increase in overall forest area between 2015 and 2023. So, to the overall size of the forest, there is weightage, and if there is weightage also for the increase between 2015 and 23. So, this is to reward the measures taken by states for increasing the size of the forest, okay, or forest cover. Okay. Further, it has also considered open forest in arriving at the total forest area. Remember this point. Okay. In contrast, the 15th Finance Commission had considered only dense and moderately dense forests and defined the parameter only in terms of share in the overall forest area. So on this count, you can say the 16th Finance Commission has improved this criterion a little bit. Okay. Next one, and the last one, that is contribution to GDP. The 16th Finance Commission has introduced this parameter to account for the contribution to national GDP by the states. Okay, this replaces the tax and fiscal efforts parameter used by the 15th Finance Commission, which rewarded states with the higher tax collection efficiency. Okay, you see, contribution to GDP by a state is calculated as the squared root of its GSDP to the sum of squared root of GSDP of all the states. Okay, this is the mathematical formula. You need not worry about that one. Okay, GSDP of each state has been measured as the average nominal GSDP between 2018-19 and 2023-24, excluding the pandemic year of 2020-21. Okay, right. These are the parameters which are considered or taken by the 16th Finance Commission in deciding the devolution of funds to the states or division of taxable pool or division of tax resources between the center and states. Okay. Now we will come to very important aspect. The C is, that is grants in aid to states. Okay. Very controversial aspect. Nowadays it is becoming much more controversial because the opposition ruled states are doing that. They are being discriminated in giving grants in aid. Okay, so several actually two types of grants in aid are there. one type of grants in aid are the grants recommended by the finance commissions, and the second one is discretionary grants under Article 275. That is becoming much more controversial. Maybe at the appropriate time we will discuss about that one also. Okay. So, however, about the grants in statutory grants in it, we will see the 16th FC recommended grants worth of 9.47 lakh crore over 5 year period for the states. These comprise grants for first one, urban and rural local bodies. You see, this is not only for the states but also for the local bodies also. So, for urban and rural local bodies, second one is disaster management. Okay. The 16th Finance Commission has discontinued the following grants recommended by the 15th Finance Commission. What are those? One, two, three. We will see. First one is revenue deficit grants. It was also done away with. Second one is sector specific grants. That is also done away with. Third one is state specific grants. That was also done away with. Okay. And the grants in aid, a detailed list, it is given in the annexure. We will see it later. Okay. So we will see grants in aid for 2026 to 31 in crores of rupees. For local government, 7,91,000 crore rupees have been given. For rural local bodies, 4,35,000 crore rupees have been given. In that, basic grant is 3,48,000 crore and a performance grant is 87,000 crore rupees. Okay. This is dependent on the performance of the rural local bodies. Okay. Then to urban local bodies, 3,56,000 crore rupees are given. In that, basic grant is 2,32 crore rupees and a performance grant is 58,000 crore rupees. Special infrastructure component is 56,000 crore rupees. Urbanization premium is 10,000 crore rupees. Okay. Then for disaster management, 1,55,000 crore rupees have been given. So in this way, total outlay in the form of grants in aid is 9,47,000 crore rupees. Okay. We will see in some detail about the grants for local bodies. The 16th FC has recommended grants worth of 4.4 lakh crore and 3.6 lakh crore for rural and urban local bodies, respectively. These grants are divided into basic, that is 80%, and performance based 20% components. Okay. Then special infrastructure grants and urbanization premium grants have also been recommended for urban local bodies, rightfully so, because in those areas the urban local bodies ULBs have to do lot of work. Okay. The discussion about them is there. Okay. You see, all local body grants will be made available upon fulfillment of three entry level criteria. What are those? First one is constitution of the local bodies as per the constitution. So that is, elections have to be conducted and ULB has to be installed. Second one is publication of provisional and audited accounts of the local bodies in the public domain. Okay, so audit of the expenditure, everything has to be done. Third one is timely constitution of the State Finance Commission. Okay, so state governments has to constitute State Finance Commission. Okay, right. So basic grants, we will see 50% of the basic grant will be untied, means it is not tied to any scheme. And the rest 50% will be tied to two things. First one is sanitation and solid waste management and or water management. So if the state or ULB is performing in these things better, then only the 50% will be released. Okay. You see, this is also a little bit controversial. Why? Because the devolution of finances shall to the local bodies shall come as a right. Okay. Some critics argue that central government shall not be putting any such restrictions. Okay, the restrictions like these on the local bodies. Okay, because if they do not perform well, they are going to lose the funding. Okay. So it can be said that they are losing the autonomy. Okay, they are not having the autonomy. Okay, that shall have been there for them. That is that is what the critics argue about this tied and untied grants. Okay. Then we will see performance grants. You see, these grants for local bodies are further divided into state performance grants and local body performance grants. State performance grants will be made available upon meeting the minimum benchmark for transfers to local bodies from their own resources. Okay, so state has to devolve some resources from its own sources to the local bodies. Okay, that is state performance grant. And second one is local body performance grants are linked to achievement of minimum targets specified by the Commission for own source revenue growth. Okay, so about the own source revenue growth of local bodies, uh, I'll try and make another video. Okay, nowadays they are making some progress, but you know very well if you see, the it's very difficult for the local bodies to generate income from their own sources. Why? There is problem in devolution of powers also. First of all, they were not given enough tax powers. Okay, and that is why they are unable to, in the first place, they are unable to collect the taxes. Okay, many more problems are there. The local bodies are incapacitated, their capacity is low to no provide services. So when provides services are not provided by local bodies, how can they collect demand taxes from the people? So it's a basic fundamental problem. Okay, maybe in another video we will try and understand that aspect also. Okay, but however, it's a tax collection from the own sources was also put as a criterion for the in the performance grants. Okay, then second one or the next one, special infrastructure grants. You see, this component will be tied to the development of a comprehensive wastewater management system in cities with a population between 10 lakh and 40 lakh as per the 2011 census. Okay. You see, grants worth of 56,100 crore have been recommended over the years, over for 5 years. Okay. Then urbanization premium grant. What is this? These will be released to states as a one-time grant for one by one conditions we will see. First one is merger of peri-urban villages into adjoining urban local body areas. Then the second one is formulation of a rural to urban transition policy. Okay. These are the conditions under the urbanization premium grant. I'm sorry. Right. Rupees 10,000 crore have been recommended under the urbanization premium component. Okay. Then if you see these grants, you can come to one conclusion that the states or the local bodies or indirectly the states are losing some of their independence because everything is tied, or the devolution of funds is tied to the performance, okay, of the states. Here you can see, of course, indirectly you may think that okay, central government is somehow forcing the states to perform. Then only it is saying that, or then only it is giving the funds. But in other ways, you can argue that don't the states don't the states have independence, autonomy? Don't they have the right to decide, okay, how to perform, okay, how to take care of the local bodies? So that question of autonomy will definitely come. Okay, so the argument is that why are you tying the devolution of funds to various things? Why don't you simply give the funds to the state governments? Why don't you monitor through Niti Aayog? So in that way, the type of argument is also there. So all this discussion will come as part of fiscal federalism. Lot of problems are there in fiscal federal relations. Okay, maybe at the appropriate time we will also discuss about that one. Okay. Then finally, we will come to disaster management grants. You see, the commission has recommended disaster management corpus of rupees 2 lakh 4,000 odd rupees, crore rupees for state disaster relief and management funds, SDRF and SDMFs. The cost sharing pattern between the center and the states is recommended to be 90 is to 10% for the northeastern and Himalayan states. Earlier, they used to be called as a special category states. And for the rest of the states, it is 75% is to 25% for all the other states. Okay. Center's share in total will be rupees 1,55,000 crore rupees. Okay. Then fiscal roadmap has been discussed by the Finance Commission. We will see it. The Commission has recommended that the center should bring down fiscal deficit to 3.5% of the GDP by 2030. Now it's hovering around somewhere around 4.6%. Okay. Right. Further, it recommended that annual fiscal deficit limit for states to be 3% of GSDP. It also recommended strictly discontinuing the practice of off-budget borrowings for the states. Okay, means states are borrowing outside of the budget. They are not showing that in the budget. Okay, so that is strictly prohibited. Okay, strictly discontinuing. The commission has advised for strictly discontinuing that, and the practice of and bringing all such borrowings onto their budgets. So, if at all you want to borrow, that has to be shown in the budget. Okay. Further, the definition of fiscal deficit and a debt should be expanded to uniformly include all off budget borrowings. Okay, right. Further, the Commission has projected the combined debt of the central and the state governments to decline from 77.3% in 2026-27 to 73.1% of the GDP by 2030-31. So both the central and states debt should come down to 73.1% of the budget by 2030-31. Means in the coming 5 years. Okay. Then power sector reforms, very interestingly, the commission has put a separate chapter with respect to power sector reforms. Okay. So just today itself, I have made a video on the power sector of our country. You try and watch it. Very interesting video. Okay. Comprehensive information is there about the power sector of our country. Okay. The commission has recommended that states should actively pursue privatization of electricity distribution companies. Those are discoms. Okay, I told already in that video that discoms are facing several problems. Okay, they are reeling under debts. Okay, to shield the private investor from debt burden after discom takeover, a special purpose vehicle, okay, SPV, may be created to warehouse the debt. Okay, prepayment or even eventual payment of this debt may be allowed by or allowed using the funds from the special assistance scheme for capital investment. Okay, it also recommended that states should be allowed to utilize this assistance only after the privatization process is complete. Okay, so the commission is openly recommending that discoms have to be privatized. Okay, right. We will see how far that will be, that will happen. How many states will come forward to do that? We will see. Then another chapter is there about the subsidy expenditure. We will see that the commission recommended states to review and rationalize their subsidy expenditure. It noted that schemes providing unconditional cash transfers tend to have large and untargeted beneficiaries. The commission recommended setting up or setting clear exclusion criteria and a rigorous review process to ensure effective targeting of the beneficiaries. In addition, it recommended discontinuing financing of subsidies through off budget borrowings. Okay, very important recommendation, I would say, because this transfers, unconditional transfers to people, it is becoming a heavy burden for the states, especially that you will see in southern India. Some states are facing severe problems, states like Andhra Pradesh, due to that. Okay. Further, the commission also noted a lack of standardization in defining and accounting of subsidies and transfers across the states. Okay. It observed that subsidies and transfers across the states are being misclassified as assistance, grants, or other expenditure. So the subsidies are being misclassified in the account keeping. Okay, that is also highlighted by the commission. It recommended adoption of a uniform approach for accounting and disclosure of subsidies and transfers. Okay, right. Then it also has a separate chapter about the public sector enterprise reforms. The commission recommended a review and closure of the 308 inactive state public sector enterprises. It recommended formulation of a state level PSE disinvestment policy to target inactive and uh, underperforming state public sector enterprises. Then state or union public sector enterprises which incur losses for 3 out of 4 consecutive years should be placed for the uh, respective cabinets consideration. Okay, the cabinet may decide closure, privatization, privatization or continuation depending on the strategic importance of the enterprise. I would say these are very valid and right recommendations because the public sector enterprises are, you know very well, there is sickness, there are problems. Okay, disinvestment has happened. Okay, and in that context only, rightly, the commission has identified some more state level public sector enterprises, and recommendations have been given to uh, rectify their issues. Okay. Annexure is Annexure 1 or Table 3. You see individual share of states in the taxes devolved by the center. Um Out of 100, you see the devolution is given under as per the alphabetical order of the states, but because of that reason it becomes little bit difficult to find out which say a state has gotten highest and which state has gotten lowest. Okay, so definitely states like Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, they will get the more. Okay, Bihar we will see. Okay, so out of 100 they are getting, Bihar this time is getting 9.95. Okay, out of 100 rupees it is getting 9.95 rupees. Previous, according to the previous finance commission's recommendation, it was getting 10.06. Okay, similarly we will see for big numbers. We will see Madhya Pradesh, it is getting 7.35 rupees out of 100. Maharashtra is getting 6.44. Okay, Uttar Pradesh, it is getting 17.662 rupees out of 100 rupees that has been devolved. Okay, so always UP's share has been uh, higher, magnanimous. Okay, right. West Bengal has gotten 7.22. Okay, we will observe or see the data for states like Kerala, Karnataka. Kerala is getting only 2.38 out of 100. Karnataka is getting only 4.13. Okay, Telangana we will see it is getting only 2.17. Okay, Tamil Nadu is getting 4.10. So I am making this comparison to show you that you see actually the southern states, they are contributing more towards the GDP. Okay, taxes are being collected more and more in these states, but when it comes to devolution or their share in the you know taxes, they are getting the lesser amount. Okay, whereas the northern states like this is a fact, I'm not showing any discrimination, it is there all over the newspaper. Whereas northern states like Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, okay, their economic performance is not good, but they are, you know, walking away with the highest share in the tax pool. Okay, that is the question always that was there. Uh, you know, series of finance commissions, they have been asked to address this problem, but they are trying, but they are not. They are unable to address this problem satisfactorily. Okay, that is how you can conclude this debate. Okay. Then next table, eligible cities under the special infrastructure component of ULB grants has been shown. You can go through the list of cities. Next table is state-wise details of grants in aid for 2026-27. Once again, it is given in the alphabetical order. So we will see for the states like Bihar, 5,000 crore rupees. Uttar Pradesh, 8,000 crore rupees. West Bengal, 2,000 crore rupees. Bigger figures will see Rajasthan, 3,000 crore rupees. Maharashtra, 3,200 crore rupees. Madhya Pradesh, 3,200 crore rupees. Okay. Now we will see for the southern states. Andhra Pradesh, it is 1,663 crores. Jharkhand, Karnataka, 1,889 crore. Okay. Kerala, okay, 831 crores. Okay. Then Telangana, 997. crore, Tamil Nadu 1693 crores. Okay, here also you can say few problems are there in grants to local bodies. Okay, right. Then in the parallel, urban local body grants have also been given, and grants for disaster management, state disaster management, uh, you know, uh, funds has also been given. Okay. Right, you can go through the table for detailed study. Anyhow, you might have read in the newspapers that editorial articles you might have read in detail about the critical analysis of the report. Okay, so this is it. What you have to know about the recommendations of the 16th Finance Commission. Remember, only briefly we have done the critical analysis. If I find any reliable and authentic source which has done critical analysis of the recommendations of this commission, I will try and present them also. Okay. So for the time being, this is it. I would say this is a very valid and useful information. Try and go through the document once and try to remember the recommendations. Okay. Right. See you next time. Until then, you have a very good time.